What's going on, my peoples? Kevin King Supreme in the building, back with another video from OK Beatz. And in this video we're going to be discussing another vocal processing chain that I own and use on a regular basis whenever I get clients. So the last video I showed you guys the one I use for my personal vocals, and in this video I'm going to show you the one I use usually for my clients' vocals. The first thing in the chain is the microphone. The second thing is going to be the preamp. The third thing is EQ, and the fourth thing is the compressor. So in that order, those are going to be the four main elements in our vocal processing chain today. The specific ones that we're going to discuss, I can't wait to show you. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and switch off to this main display over here. And as you can see, we already have the U87 Neumann is in our search bar. I think I found it. This is the version that I use, is the Rhodium Special Edition Rhodium version, and it's a little bit more expensive than this one. It costs me about $5,000, but the regular version is about $3,600 plus tax and whatnot. So, you know, feel free to look it up. It's a very limited edition mic, and I don't think that they sell any more of those unless you buy it used or secondhand, or they don't sell that one anymore. There's only a certain number of, I think it was like 5,000 copies of that microphone, handmade. Back to the screen, we definitely recommend this microphone for any commercial studio. We definitely recommend the transparency that this microphone has to offer. Very classic, extremely popular microphone. It's been an industry standard forever. As you can see, it's very awesome in architecture. It's very beautiful. Yeah, I mean, soon if you go into a studio and you see this microphone, you can feel a sense of relief, because that studio is not shy about investing in quality gear, things that are going to make a difference when they capture sound. It comes in the box. Mine came with gloves and a bag, and it came in a briefcase, in a limited edition briefcase. Let's check it out in a 360 view over here. Yeah, and it also came with the shock mount. Mine. Awesome, beautiful piece of gear. Must have in the mic locker. So the next thing that we are going to discuss is going to be the preamp. And the preamp that I usually use for this microphone is going to be the Pacifica preamp from 𝐴_Designs. So we'll go ahead and look that up real quick. Pacifica preamp from 𝐴_Designs. There it goes. Right now, this bad boy is going for $2,350. I think I did pay about this amount right here. I don't think this one changes a lot in value, but as you can see, it definitely holds its value. So I love the colors, and the theme of this preamp is actually an emulation of a 60s console. It was a studio console that was very famous, the famous Quad 8 consoles from the 60s and the 70s, and the color scheme is actually based off of that console as well. Very awesome colors, very wavy, very groovy. It's actually used a lot in the West Coast. The West Coast vibe. You know, we had a lot of awesome groups, a lot of American bands that came from that side of the country. Awesome music. It's a very vintage vibe. It gives it a very pronounced feeling. It brings emotion to the vocal. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's actually a stereo preamp, so it has 2 channels, and that's awesome as well, because that means you can pair up any type of instruments, a set of instruments, you know, that you might want to record simultaneously with different mics. You know, works well for drums as well. Maybe if you want to do a duo in stereo, that will work well for that, to capture 2 sounds at the same time, 2 vocals at the same time. It's a very, very awesome piece of equipment, guys. Look at it in 360 real quick. And that is the Pacifica from A Designs. Once again, guys, this is all from Sweetwater.com. They have everything, every single thing that an audio engineer or musician would need in order to make music or make music happen. They're not paying me, but Sweetwater is awesome. I am gonna have affiliate links at the bottom of the description of this video. It's not gonna be links to Sweetwater, but I'm telling you, you can go to Sweetwater.com. But if you go to the affiliate links below, you might be able to find some competitive pricing, perhaps. That plus, you know, obviously I get a commission from any sale that comes from you clicking on those links. So please check it out down in the description. All right, so the next thing on our list is going to be the Mag EQ, and it's the 500 series. I have 2 of these, so I use one for one processing chain and then another for a separate processing chain. My processing chains are in mono, so I only use 1 channel for each. I like to have 2 different channels available, one for myself as a producer in the control room, and another one inside of the booth or the studio room, where the artists can record freely and isolated from whatever's going on in the control room. So those 2 separate channels have their own vocal processing chain. This vocal processing chain in particular that we're talking about is the one that is dedicated to the artist in the studio room, and that room is behind me. We'll check that out in a separate video. This is the Mag EQ, and it's a 500 series. I have a 8-channel 500 series lunchbox. We connect these sound card circuits to the API lunchbox, you know, in a certain order, and then you connect it to a patch bay, just like you would, you know, any other 19-inch rack unit. So the last thing that we have in this vocal processing chain is going to be the Warm Audio Blackie, the Black 1176. So the WA76 from Warm Audio, WA76. Here we go. Oh, would you look at that? This one actually went down in value, to be honest. I bought it for about $700 when I purchased it. Look at that. Oh, look at it right there. It was $699. That's the old price for it. That's how much I paid for it. That was in the height of the pandemic, where when everybody had money coming in from unemployment and whatnot. So I went ahead and stocked up myself on some of these classic pieces of gear. The compressor that this piece of gear, that this compressor is trying to emulate, is the Black 1176, the Blackie 1176 from Universal Audio. That compressor is about $4 grand. this one is $500, so it's obviously it's not going to sound the same. It's not going to give you the same exact quality. It's a pretty commercial compressor. You know, it has a very dark tone to it, and it does its thing. It does its thing pretty well. Shout out to Warm Audio for this one. You do see it in a lot of studios, a lot of commercial studios as well. You know, despite of the fact that it's cheap, it definitely offers its own warm characters and colors, and I think it's worth having it in the arsenal. Yeah, I'll give it a buy. The face is literally like a copy of the 1176 from Universal Audio. As you can see in the back, you have TRS jacks and you have XLR balance jacks for the inputs and the outputs. And this is also a mono signal that you're going to process through this compressor. So only one channel. Let's check it out on 360. So it doesn't take up too much space, which is a good thing. It's not ridiculously heavy, but it does have some weight to it. So that processing chain is then connected to a Samsung patch bay. Here's your Samsung patch bay. I have about 3 of these because I have a bunch of gear. It's definitely, it can get messy, but you got to try to keep it as organized as possible. Another thing that we own at OK Beatz Studio is an audio interface called the Apollo 8 by Universal Audio. And the Apollo 8 that we own is a little bit older. It's like the 2014, 2015 model. So it costs a little bit less than this one. You know, because things were a little bit cheaper back then when they were new. But it's comparable to this one right here. They don't sell the one that we have anymore. Ours is the Apollo 8. This one is the Apollo X8 Thunderbolt 3. Ours is the Thunderbolt 2 connection. So, you know, it's very comparable. It's literally the same thing, just with the new connection, Thunderbolt 3. And it pretty much does the same thing and has the same capabilities. It handles 8 different inputs and outputs, and the first 4 are going to be your preamp inputs, and then the other 4 are going to be line inputs, which really come in handy and really give you an expansion of your capabilities. We also have connections to word clock and SPDIF in, SPDIF out, and there are your Thunderbolt 3 connections, and that's your power cable. So that's the back of this interface. These meters in the front are very accurate. They're really cool to have, really easy to understand at a glance. 48 volt in or out, so you can use dynamic mics or condenser mics. Look at it in 360. Takes up some space. It's a 19-inch rack unit, and it goes back about 12 inches or so. So you need a full rack mount there to mount this bad boy. Another thing that we have is an 8-channel summing amp by Dangerous Music. It's called the D-Box Plus. So this summing amp right here is an awesome complementary tool for your interface, because it basically takes the 8 channels of the interface and sums it into the 8 channels that are available for this summing amp. You can get a more powerful signal from this summing amp, and at the same time you have so many controls that are available at the touch of your fingertips from this piece of equipment. So we have AES in and through, and then the analog in for the inputs, and then you have the expansion of the 8 channels through this D25 cable. It's so awesome. You got a USB port there so that you can connect to a separate source completely, like another laptop, you have that Bluetooth antenna right there, which is really heavy duty and really connects to any Bluetooth source available. So you can actually listen to, use that Bluetooth connection as a source, which is crazy. Like, you just have so many sources to listen from this piece of equipment. And then you also have the ability to connect 3 completely separate sets of speaker monitors, which is just incredible. Like, it's crazy. So, you know, then you got the power cable there and the power button. I would have liked the power button to be more accessible, like in the front, but then again, who turns off their system, right? Yeah, if you do, you might have to reach back there all the time, but oh well. Anyway, here in the very front, we're going to have all of these controls, which is just amazing. We have, let's start all the way over here at the left. We have headphone jacks for the artist in the booth and the control room, which is the engineer. Then you have the levels for each of those. Level 1 for headphones number 1 and level 2 for headphones number 2. Then you have this talkback mic, which is just crazy, bro. You have all of this stuff, and then you also have a talkback mic, which is just awesome. You can press that button right there and then turn up and down the level of the mic, and use this mic to speak directly to the artist in the booth without having to interrupt the session by having the artist come in and out of the booth just to talk to you or say anything. That is just absolutely wonderful to have. Works very well, by the way. So we have 5 connections here, which is the analog, the summing, the Bluetooth, the USB, and the AES SPDIF. So each one of these connections are unique and individual, as we, you know, showed you in the back of this piece of equipment. You have 5 different sources to choose from, and this is exactly where you choose. So you choose the sources for each of the actual headphones too. So you can change the source for the artist and then have a completely separate source for the control room, which is just bananas. Like, it's just crazy. Like, you know what I mean? You could have one, like, you could just be playing one thing for the artist and then completely be playing something else for the engineer. So this is where you choose which set of speakers you want to use. You can turn them all on, or you can turn them on one at a time, and you can turn on this sub or turn it on and off as you wish, you know, whenever you have any of these on. And then instead of putting a sub, you could actually use it for a separate set of speakers as well. You don't have to use it for a sub, which is just crazy. And then just to put the cherry on top, you have a mono button, which is going to allow you to turn whatever signal you're listening to on any one of these headphones or sources. You have the ability to change it to mono, so you can monitor it in mono, you know, if you have any type of phasing issues or anything like that. And it's just incredible to be able to do all of this from just this one piece of gear. This is where you're going to choose the line out or the Bluetooth sources, and whether it's going to be for the headphones or for the control room, which is, you know, once again, just an enormous set of capabilities. And then you have this presence right here, this signal presence knob, where you can manipulate the amount of signal that is coming through this D box and ultimately, you know, coming out in the recording as well, which is just crazy. It's just crazy. You know, usually I saturate it all the way up because I want to hear everything, and I want everything to come through in the mix. But you know, if you want to back off on that a little bit, you can do so easily right there with that knob. And then you also have the ability to make the last two channels, 7 and 8, channel 7 and 8, a mono signal. So if you're running something through both of those channels as a stereo signal, you have the ability to change just those two channels separately into a mono signal. Like, that's incredible, to be able to merge two separate channels into a mono signal, you know, in the recording. That's crazy, man. It's just crazy. And then you obviously have the volume knob there, which is going to control the level of, you know, any signal that's passing through the entire piece of gear. Like, it's the general volume knob. And it looks so awesome too with the lights, and that's all the way turned up. As you can see, all of the lights are on. So when you turn it down, the lights, you can see the lights gradually, you know, close out as well. So it's an awesome piece of gear, guys. I really recommend it. I really recommend it in complement to whatever interface you guys get. But yeah, I also have some Focal Trio 11 speakers that I usually monitor my music from, and I do have the pair. So this is what we're looking at right here. As you can see, it's hasn't changed much in volume, and it hasn't changed much in price. In fact, I believe I paid a little bit more for these, so they might have gone down slightly. I think I paid like 10 G's. That's what, you know, with tax and all of that stuff. So look, it's back ordered right now, so they don't even have any of these right now. But these are super awesome. You don't even need a sub with these. These have plenty of low end. Every piece of gear is dedicated to something. So with that said, I'm not telling you not to have a sub. When you get a sub, you use a sub to focus on the low end. So that's a tool that is used for that specific reason. So that's why you would get a sub. But this speaker does have the ability to go on focus mode, to switch on and off focus mode. So basically focus mode is going to let you just listen to the high end and turn the bass off. So it will power off this big speaker. Just let the top speakers continue, the mid range and the high range and the high frequencies to continue playing, and that way you can focus on the mid range and the high frequencies. So that's focus mode. And then when you're ready to turn it back on, you could just toggle on the sub right back. So one thing that you cannot do is focus on just the sub. So that's why you would get a sub, so that you can have the ability to focus on just the sub. So, you know, I mean, it's honestly, it's really not that, it's not that serious to not be able to focus on the sub, because you can hear the difference when you turn it on and off. As an engineer, you learn to adapt to hearing the difference when you toggle things on and off. So when you toggle the sub on and off, you can hear what you're trying to hear, you know, so you can hear it with accuracy compared to when it's turned off and turned on. But you just can't solo on the sub with these speakers. You can solo on the sub in the DAW, so you know it's not that serious once again. But you know, just the more abilities you have, the more content you are as an engineer. So yeah, you know, that's why you would get a sub in this case, because you don't need the sub, because the sub works great on the speaker. However, if you want to be able to focus on just the sub and you want a speaker to be able to do that, then you need to get the sub. We talked about our awesome, expensive vocal processing chain for our artists in the booth, and that included the U87 by Neumann. It goes out of the microphone and into the Pacifica preamp from A Design. Then it goes out of the preamp into the Mag EQ, out of the Mag EQ and into the warm audio black key compressor. Then it goes out of the compressor and into the computer, which is a Mac, and into your DAW, which is FL Studio, is my go-to DAW. And then it goes back out from the computer / DAW into the Apollo interface. And then it goes from the Apollo interface to the speakers. And it goes from the speakers to your ears. So that is the entire signal flow. And yeah, I hope you guys got some gems from that. Got any comments, any remarks, any questions? Please type them in the comment section down below and I'll get to you as soon as possible. Please support us by going to www.okbeats.com. We have awesome custom beats, and you can also use our mixing and mastering services. And you can also book studio time here at OK Beats Studio in New York. We also have music on all streaming platforms at Kevin King Supreme. Look up Kevin King Supreme on all streaming platforms. I really appreciate that. That's about it. Peace.